Hey, what's up you guys? This is Junior Trader, and in this video, this could be the end of semiconductors today is what we'll be talking about, because we do have AMD and SMCI earnings later today. But just not that, we also have NVDA price action breaking very badly lower. We'll take a look at all of that. In this video, we'll take a look at all the semiconductors that are one of the chosen ones in the market, but so far they haven't been continuing to be chosen one this year. NVIDIA collapsing. So let's jump right into it. Many semiconductors we'll take a look at, and today could be the nail in the coffin based on the earnings of AMD and SMCI. Market overall is also struggling, couldn't break to the new all-time highs, that acted still as the resistance, so we never got the confirmation. This is S&P 500. You can see it did try, actually it was up in the pre-market today, and then but continued lower, rejected there right at the all-time highs, and then sell-off continued. So let's talk about all of that. Once I also let you know, none of this is any financial advice, only for education purposes, just sharing my opinion. Please do your own thing. So AMD earnings are today, right? And so is of SMCI. We are, as we did test 248, that was our plan going in on Monday. Okay, let's now talk about from the perspective of what can earnings do that may either make AMD or break AMD, first of all, because now all other semiconductors, even though they're crashing, and we'll take a look at individually at those as well, but it all is what AMD, how it will influence the market today, what they say in the guidance, and or what can save it, or other semiconductors as well. So if AMD breaks down below 227 in the post market after earnings, though, and well, already things are looking bad for other semiconductors, it's just gonna get too bad, super bad for other semiconductors as well, and that will also make AMD back again in the very weak structure below $230. All right, this zone, I mean 227 to $230. Okay, below this it's a structural break for coming weeks then, and then we may be testing again $195. If AMD gaps up and gets above 260 area, all good. Okay, that will pump up other semiconductors, it can save other semiconductors as well. However, as if it just crawls sideways, which has been mostly with many stocks the case, these earnings is the muted response, then pretty much we'll just stay with the technicals the way they are, which are bearish on many other semiconductors, even though AMD is trying to hold strong. But really, it's not going to get the next leg up if it doesn't really show us a gap above 260 to 266. And looking at the hourly interval on AMD multi-day, well, yes, we did regain for a while above 248 area, but our day trade, as I said, for the Monday would be as if we break out above 239 area, we can test 248. We got that yesterday trade, and then today below 248, we are still in the right now weakness. Now it all comes down to the earnings. Okay, it all comes down to the earnings. Now, speaking of earnings, we also have SMCI today. Now, SMCI also, like I did a video on the weekend on SMCI. Everything as per their outlook, their current quarter, everything looks okay and good. Price action hasn't been supporting that. However, it all comes down to now earnings. If for any reason SMCI can gap up above $32, it will be a bullish continuation, and that will also lift up other semiconductors as well. Market overall is selling off, so these earnings have to do a lot of heavy lifting to change the sentiment, because right now the sentiment is that it's fully broken, it's like all bearish. And if SMCI breaks below 2880 area, right, we're gonna just stay more we're gonna get more bearish, and that's where the problem is. And just like AMD, as if we stay below 29 to 32, then it's just a muted response. It's just pretty much we are still sideways, not really breaking out in any direction, not making next leg down, and not really trying to or making anything to go up as well. So But it all comes down to today the AMD and SMCI earnings. Okay, SMCI, even though price action is really bad, I still see their outlook is looking good. Their future outlook is looking good so far, the articles that I have read. And so this thing has a room to surprise on the upside, but the way the market is and SMCI being a low conviction stock, it's just really hard to confirm on that. If it would have been a Microsoft or something, I would have gotten behind it, but right now for SMCI, no. All right, let's get to NVIDIA because I this is the one that where and then we'll take a look at Broadcom as well, and we'll take a look at Micron as well. So NVIDIA is where I want to little bit spend some time. Now, if you have seen my videos on NVIDIA before as well, let's turn on my short volume data on my tools. And I have highlighted this area and the zone previous multiple times, like we have had 25 short volume percent, 22 short volume percent in this range, and then 21, 22, 21. Again, as soon as NVIDIA comes up here, you definitely see a spike in the short volume, and here then 23 short volume. Yes, we didn't have much high here, but the thing is that the short seller zone has remained active, okay, for quite some time, and I said that in the previous videos as well. And here also you can see at this very zone 24 short volume percent, and then followed up with the huge sell-off as well the next day. So this is a high short volume interested area on NVIDIA, okay. And in my previous videos as well, and here you can see subsequent huge short volume sitting. Anything on NVIDIA, here another one, anything on NVIDIA above 18% to 19% in relativeness right now is considered a high short volume per on day-to-day basis. And if you need access to my tools, guys, details are in the description of this video. And so we are, and that's what I mentioned, that full next momentum is not going to happen until that zone. That's why I put that box as well there, because this is still the short seller zones, and short sellers have held the zone. So short sellers are still very active, and the things are still negative on NVIDIA. Now it's just not near-term negativeness. We have lost 184. This was the zone where bulls could have held, and they had to hold to keep the strength in their direction. That hasn't happened. 184 below, NVIDIA is looking negative on the bearish side. Now if somehow AMD earnings saves it and gets above 184, well, it's technically still in the upside game, but as you can understand, it's just so choppy and sideways that if you're not even trading NVIDIA at this point, I get it. You're better trading it as day trade or multi-day, but if swing is just not there right now on NVIDIA, guys, okay. So, and only thing can save is again if it can get above 184. Otherwise, just yeah, no, it's just not there. It's just not there. I want to take you to the weekly interval actually, because that's where the things are a little bit building up again to the downside. Now yes, it has tried to hold and come back in this pivot here, but it's failing. That's why it's important. It has lost 184, and that is failing, which is turning into a lower high, right, with a double top with the lower high, failure of the continuation right above that 195. That's why that zone was important. So we rejected that second leg up. We had to push up, we didn't do, and thus coming down, and therefore on the weekly interval we are setting up for a confirmation of a lower high here. It all comes down to 184. Now with a stock like NVIDIA, since it's also sideways, very extended previously from 200 days moving average, so technically I'm not gonna say it's a swing short, but it's definitely multi-day weak. Now it comes down to the AMD earnings as what we will have today, right? So we'll have to wait and watch, and only thing though can save NVIDIA is about 184 if the price gets there. And so therefore just keep in mind that multi-day weakness is there. So technically your multi-day bias is short. This thing can turn into swing short if this multi-day weakness continues, right? You keep just rolling over the position. And because the right now I'm not saying that it's swing bearish, because we do have a little bit of strong underneath support still coming on NVIDIA, like 200 days moving average. And that's why the only way to move it into the swing short would be if you day by day basis keep the multi-day short, and then that rolls over into the swing short, okay. So that's your NVIDIA. Let's take a look at now Broadcom, because Broadcom is also teetering just at the edge of collapsing here. And as you can see that Broadcom also hasn't, and this has also been it's not in our buy list or anything. This has been also a stubborn bearish level, this zone. I have told my members before, and therefore it has not been able to do anything from there. Okay, it has still just continued lower, and it's teetering just at the edge. If it gaps below 313 with 200 days moving average, okay, we are looking at cheaper prices like 250 or so forth. This could be eventually taken as a buying opportunity, but not right now. Let it fall, okay? But it all comes down to this 200 days moving average today for Broadcom. Let's take a look at Micron. So Micron had a good run up, strong shoot up, straight up today. Not today, sorry, over the last couple of months. But this thing is still bullish technically. Yes, it's still very strong. It's not gonna really be problem actually on this thing, even if it gaps down. It's problem only if it gaps down below 384 somehow after earnings of AMD and SMCI today, which is unlikely, but only then we have a problem on this. Otherwise, it's just multi-day weakness below 412, but overall structure is still fun until 385. So Micron is still strong. But do you want to buy here? No, I'm not gonna buy here, right? So if you miss something, you just let it go. Okay, there's no point in chasing into it, no point in FOMOing into it. It's just gonna give you a lot of stress and anxiety. All right, okay guys, that's all I had for you in this video. And if you found it helpful, valuable, please hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next videos. Take care, bye.